We're going to head out west for another stop on the Derby Trail. The Santa Anita Derby, the Grade 1, takes place on Saturday afternoon. It's going to go as race number 6 on a 12-race card at Santa Anita. Post time is 5:30 Eastern time. Nick Tammaro back with you, joined by Scott Shapiro. Scott, we've got a group of horses out west that is led by Practical Move, but a number looking to take a big step forward in what looks like a familiar refrain on this Derby Trail, right? Horses all getting that one last spot to prove that they're worthy of attention in 4 weeks.
Yeah, the California road to the Derby hasn't quite been as with many headlines as it has in years past, but this is a pretty solid group. And you mentioned Practical Move, Nick. I find it interesting that this horse is getting some respect. I think he's had a very similar last couple of races to a horse like Forte, who understandably is getting a lot more press because of his 2-year-old champion, because it's Todd Pletcher, Irad Ortiz racing maybe on the East Coast. But man, this horse backed up an effort in the Los Al Futurity last time out with an equally impressive effort in the San Felipe. I was a little bit dubious to take that effort at Los Al at face value. That track can be a little bit odd. Some horses like it, some take a big step forward. But man, he was loaded along the inside in the San Felipe and finished full of run. I don't see any reason he's not going to run big here and stamp himself as one of the major contenders for the Derby.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's a deserving favorite. My knock on him might be a little bit more esoteric than some might view it as, but I did think he was helped by being a little inside last time out. That was a day with multiple inside positioned wire-to-wire winners, including some later on in the card. And even the big cap winner, Stiletto Boy, spent a substantial part of that race along the inside. So did the third place finisher, Defunded. That being said, Practical Move is a horse that backed up that Los Al Futurity with exactly what we haven't gotten from Forte when you juxtapose those two, which is that he took a big step forward as a 3-year-old. And that's what we all want to see. You alluded to it just now. With another step forward, I think this field could be in for it. Let's take a look at a couple of horses that finished behind him in that San Felipe and start with your pick, the 3, Go Rocket Ride, who's making just his 3rd career start, but there's obviously an abundance of talent here.
Very impressive maiden-breaking effort, going one turn for a trainer in Richard Mandela, the Hall of Fame conditioner, capable of winning at first asking, but not known for having them cranked. So when they win, it's definitely noteworthy, especially the $350,000 son of Candy Ride. And I thought he ran real well in the Grade 2 San Felipe, won by, of course, Practical Move, we just spoke about. Didn't make the lead that day. Flavian Pratt ended up sitting off of Hijazi in that spot. Stalked, backed up a little bit of a tricky, middle part of that race, but I thought he really finished much better than you would have suspected with a horse taking on winners for the first time, going 2 turns for the first time, and that didn't make the lead. Now, I don't see a ton of speed in here, Nick. I would expect them to give this one an aggressive ride out of the gate and try to take this field gate to wire. I respect Practical Move a lot. I think he's probably the most talented runner in this race, but this is a horse that has a lot of upside in Go Rocket Ride, and he could have a pace advantage.
Yeah, you just answered my next question, which is, do you want to see him on the front end? And I think you do, based on what we saw on debut. And he did back it up, as you said, with a very solid effort first time against winners. The 3rd place finisher from that San Felipe is the 7, Skinner, who does have the distinction of really having made the only meaningful off-the-pace move in that San Felipe. And if you believe, like I do, that the inside was the place to be, you're really going to upgrade this son of Curlin's chances.
This is a horse that has the ability to finish, kind of like a lot of John Sheriff's horses we've seen over the years. Of course, the one remembered most is Zenyatta, but a lot of them lack early speed. Victor Espinoza on board, a horse that shouldn't have any problem getting more distance. And when they go at it early, these horses can finish. And I think that's the case with this $510,000 son of Curlin. My question to you and in general is he going to have enough pace to run at?
That's the real question, of course. We're going to have to hope that somebody does keep Go Rocket Ride honest early. I suppose that might fall on the shoulders of one in Vermilion, who was fractious in the gate in the Sunland Derby and never showed that customary speed. With that said, Go Rocket Ride does look faster. Skinner's going to need things to happen that would be a little bit surprising on paper. National Treasure was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And for a horse that's still eligible for a one other than, he's one that's gotten, I think, a lot of press and publicity, coming back now off a layoff, new to the care of Tim Yakteen in search of more Derby points. Can this son of Quality Road get back into the mix off the bench?
Sort of a morning glory at this point, won nicely on debut, but that was on the front end at 1 turn at Delmar on 6.5. The American Pharaoh effort was good. Losing to Cave Rock at that point of time was nothing to sneeze at, and then was drawn to the far outside in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile when he got a lot of steam that day. Did go off 8-1, losing to Forte and Cave Rock that day. Ran well, not overly well. The Sham was what's concerning. Another horse that didn't really take a step forward in that first start back as a 3-year-old, and then being scratched the morning of in San Felipe. Felipe. Some concerns there. This horse has some talent. You probably would expect him to be involved a little bit in a stalking position under Johnny V. I respect him, but I expect him to take a little more money than I'd be willing to swallow.
I think that's a great way to put it. I also don't love that he's had a hard time passing horses. And I
Right.
just don't think he's going to be on the lead dictating terms to everybody else. Maybe he gets that good first over stalking trip. Well, Scott, one thing that's been clear over the last couple of years on an international stage has been the emergence of Japanese-based runners. And it's kind of fun to have one in a prep race here. That's number 8, Mandarin Hero, who is ridden by Kazushi Kimura, who, of course, is Japanese and is in California for the winter Santa Anita meet. This son of Shanghai Bobby was second, beaten a neck last time out in a good effort at 1 1/8 miles. Is it just the Japanese's world and we're all taking up space? Is it that simple?
I mean, maybe if you're going to get a price on these horses in terms of gambling, it might be worth using or considering. Very tough to have a real strong opinion, at least from my perspective on this horse. I don't follow Japanese racing at all. I did go back and watch each of those two handicap effort races on YouTube. Took a little bit out of it. This horse has some tactical speed, not a lot of speed. The horse that beat him in that February 23rd race got the jump on him. He ran well, made a little bit of a move that day. Got a good trip, I thought. I'm guessing with this horse. I don't know if you have anything more to say, but it's certainly a horse if he's 8-1 and you're playing horizontals or, you have a key horse you like that I wouldn't leave off.
I think it's a great way to put it. You don't want to be beaten by him, knowing the success that the Japanese contingent has had, and the fact that they identified this race pretty early as one that they wanted to use as a prep on the road to the first Saturday in May. Could be a situation where afterwards we're saying Dame Origato, but we will find out on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, this is a fun race. Like I said in the introduction, I don't think this crop of 3-year-olds out in California have gotten the fanfare in recent years. Maybe we'll have a horse that wins the Derby. Maybe someone will hit the board. But I think the top few in here, your top pick, Skinner, of course, Practical Move, and Go Rocket Ride, and maybe a few others are definitely legitimate contenders for the Derby going into this race.
Totally agree. Bit top heavy, but it's fun to see how it all plays out. Scott, good luck with these preps, and we'll see you back along the trail in a week or so.
Sounds good, Nick. Should be a very, very fun day. Of course, getting involved at TwinSpires is a no-brainer.
Always follow along at twinspires.com. Take advantage of the new Power Box wager modifier, in addition to a $10,000 leaderboard for Keeneland that's available starting this weekend with the opening of their meet on Friday afternoon. For Scott Shapiro, Nick Tammaro here. Until next time, best of luck.